Hi everyone, I'm out in my little pottage or garden, and we're going to focus on this sad specimen. Now, I know it doesn't look like it, but this used to be an apple tree, and when we bought this property, this had a dead scion attached to it. And the reason why I'm making this video today is because I've had a message from someone who has had similar and they want to know what to do. Now, the scion was removed by us a couple of years ago, and we just left this because we really didn't know what to do with it. And as you can see, there is tons of growth coming off what is the rootstock, and it's a bit of a mess. So I'm going to top graft this today onto the suckers. Now you can see there's loads of suckers here. I mean, this is coming off the roots, so I'm going to remove that. This one at the back is coming off the roots, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to take the main growth. Oh, look at it. There you go. There is the rootstock going into the ground. So I'm going to take all the little snags off this. This is going to be removed. There we go. And I'm going to graft onto this 2 apple scions, 2 different varieties. Now, I'll just stand back a wee bit so you can see. This area has training wires, because I think what the original owner wanted to do was grow these as an espalier. So I'm happy to kind of try that. But the trick for us is to get any new growth to grow upright to reach this first wire where it can be trained in horizontally. So follow this video and see how we get on. The first job I'm going to do is remove these growths. I mean, look at that. Right, I've not cut this, I've just pulled it, and that will give me a new rootstock. Now, I know the guy who was here before us was English, so I'm presuming that he brought over a tree from the UK, and that apple tree would have been grafted onto MM106. So I'm just going to plant this. Have a look at this one. Oh man, that's the same. So there is a wee bit of root there, and we'll just plant that in my rootstock bed, and together these two, this one might not make it, but this one's got good roots on it, will grow into new rootstocks. So the rest of it, I can see that one is quite upright, so we'll leave that. We'll take this one off. So that's just going to be treated as a rootstock cutting, and in a year or so it might do roots. And we'll take that one off and we'll do the same. So I've now got 2 growths. This one's a bit spindly, but I can graft onto these. So show you again in a few minutes what we're going to do next. Right, so I am at the part of my raised bed that I use for growing new scions, and these will eventually grow roots and will give me new rootstocks which I can graft onto. So I've got these 3 pieces that have been cut, and I'll just bury them halfway into the soil here. And these 2 were the bits that I pulled off that have self-rooted. Now, in technical terms, these are rootstocks already, and I'll just replant them. And what I'll do, I'll turn that up the right way. What I'll do is this was the soil level. You can see the difference in the colour of the bark. And I'm just going to plant that deeper so that it's going to encourage this bit of the rootstock to make even more roots, which will make a stronger rootstock. Same with that. So I'm just going to do that now. So I've dug my hole for the first one, and it's about 5 inches deep. Just going to pop that in, cover it over, firm that, and leave it. The drizzle has just started. I'll do that one as well. So again, now this one's going to be only a small amount poking out the top. So I'm going to mark that with a little upright stick so that I don't dig it up by mistake. And that is that. So the next part of this video is going to be going back to the main rootstock that lost its scion, and we'll talk about what we're going to do there. Okay, so we're in the part of the orchard where the young trees are, staked and protected by rabbit guard, and I've got my little hand-drawn orchard map. I actually have a proper map of this, but I just drew this on a bit of paper to bring out because it's raining. How good am I to you, viewers? I'm coming out and filming in the rain. So the rootstock that we have is in a not favourable situation. There's gravel, it's very hot, and despite the fact that I do mulch in the summer, any variety that I graft onto this has got to be reasonably vigorous to be able to cope with those conditions. So I have chosen this variety, which is an old French variety. It is called Reine de Renette, and you can find this in the UK as King of the Pippins. So it's early season, you'd be picking fruit about September. It's fairly vigorous, and it's a delicious red apple with orange stripes, or orange apple with red stripes, whichever you prefer. So we're going to take 2 scions off this, and the reason is I left this when I was pruning because I wanted you to see how low. I mean, that rabbit guard is just over a foot tall, and the first branch coming off here, it's far too low when I'm in here with the grass cutting tractor to cut. It's going to get battered and it's going to be damaged. So instead of pruning it about a week ago, like I normally prune at the beginning of January, I am taking this and this as my scions. Now that will give a nice clean stem, and you can see there's lots of little buds budding off here. So I'm just going to snip these 2 off, which means I'm going to be grafting 2 scions of the same variety onto the 2 branching rootstock wood of the rootstock that I'm going to graft these onto, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to take it off as close as I can, but leaving a collar. So it's just like pruning. So that'll heal off. Just trim that one a wee touch more. That'll heal off nicely. And this little snag, I'll just take that off. So that's that. Now, I've got my 2 lengths. So that's the cut ends, and that is the growing ends. So they go that way up. And I just want to show you where the new wood is. I'm going to try and do this because I'm filming this myself today and I'm trying to do it one-handed. So do you see this join? Now if I turn that round, you can see there's a little line. All the wood above, i.e. this, is last summer's growth. And this is what I'm going to use as the scion, because you can't graft old wood, i.e. this, onto your rootstocks. It has to be young wood. So I'm just going to look at the other one. So again, just following it down. This grey stuff's nothing to worry about, it's just a wee bit of a bloom. And that's absolutely fine. And there we go, that's the join there, just above where my finger is. So you can see the line there. So anything above that is new wood. So because I've taken it off the same tree, I don't actually need to label it because I know what variety this is. So the next part of the video is going to be how to do the graft. So, welcome back everyone. This is the rootstock that I was talking about earlier, and you can see that this bit of the rootstock that I'm going to graft onto is a lot thinner than this bit here. So we're going to do this bit first because this is going to be easier. And I'm going to just cut that with the secateurs just above a bud. Now I've got my secateurs, I've got my pruning knife, and I have my grafting tape. Now personally I prefer parafilm, but this is the nearest that I could find to it. And I've got my labels ready, even though they're a bit fragile, and I've got my scions. So this is the bit of the scion wood that I'm going to use, which is above this joint here. So can you see that joint there? That is the new wood and that is the old wood. And the old wood will not be any good for grafting. So this is slightly thinner than that, which is quite handy. And I'm going to use a rind graft. So all I'm going to do is take that bark off. This green stuff underneath the bark is the cambium layer, and that yellowy bit in the middle is the heartwood. So the cambium layer is where the xylem and phloem are, which will bind onto this. And the trick with grafting is not to touch the cut parts with your skin, because your skin has auxins in it and chemicals which will interfere with the grafting process and mean that your graft's a failure. Now I'm going to graft this onto this side of the rootstock because I'll be able to get a more upright growth. So I'm just going to make a corresponding cut. Just hold that steady. And I think you can see the cambium layer there, it's the green line. So then the trick is to tape it, and this is difficult. Practice this on some duff twigs before you start. And I always start underneath so that I know that the tape's not going to move. So, and of course the tape's moving. Right, so I'm pressing that cut bit onto that cut bit so that both the cut edges are together. And the trick is to bind them tightly and to cover the cut edges And you're doing this as tight as you can without breaking the tape, so you get a good join. And how do you know if you've got a good join? Right, so if I hold that tape, I'm just going to, that's really tight. So I know that's tight enough. I'm just going underneath the edge of the cut edge. And I'm going to just tie that off. I know this isn't the easiest way for you to see. Such is life. And that is one done. So I'm just, right. So again, this is the scion wood that I took, and you can see the difference in the colour between the new wood and the old wood. And it's the new wood that I'm going to take. And this is much thinner, but this is a thin piece of the rootstock. So I've made a cut there, and I've got my cut there, and my other bit of tape, and without touching it, start with this, put that there. Right, sure it's tight. Right. And that's quite a good match. There's lots and lots of cambium layer. This isn't tight. I'll start again. Positioning that on. And I always find it's easier if I start from the bottom up. I'm just taping that on. I'm trying not to touch the one that I've already done. This is why I prefer to do this when the thing is in a pot. But the nature of the beast is such that I wanted to show you how to do this to a plant in situ. So I've taped it. I'm just going over the top cut of the rootstock. And I want to just check how tight that is. So I'm just touching that. It's not moving around. So I'm going to continue to tape. And then I'm going to tie it off. Now, I use grafting tape. You can wax this, but I find it's a wee bit more fiddly. And that is that.